Shazam?
Peacemaker. What a joke.
I'm nobody. I came because I have no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
Truth, justice,
the American way.
I'm vengeance.
We're going to pivot, and this will be a separate episode, but we're going to pivot to Superman and Lois season 3, episodes 5 through 8. So my name is Jordan. This is Chris. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing great. Let's talk some Superman and Lois.
Superman and Lois, season 3, episodes 5 through 8. I just caught up on this yesterday. So I had these four episodes were sitting on my DVR. Well, actually the 3 were before the break, right? There was a little bit of there was a break after Head On, which was episode 5, until the 25th, and then it was weekly. And my wife and I watched 2, because I watch it with my wife, or otherwise I'd be caught up. But I watched 2 episodes on Monday and 2 episodes yesterday to catch up. And I've been digging them, but like I mentioned on the Arrowverse update, with the cancer subplot, while it's great, it is pushing all the feels. It has been a downer for me to the point where, like, I don't know if I will rewatch this season as much as I rewatched seasons 1 and 2. And that's not anything for the quality. The quality is still there, right? But I'm having more, like, trouble with it just because, 1, I am a hypochondriac, okay? Let's get that out of the way. 2, sometimes I don't want to be, like, depressed. And that's why, like I was saying, I've been watching a lot of, sometimes instead of catching up on that, I was watching Flash season 4 and stuff like that, because I was like, this is giving me joy, while Superman and Lois is depressing me right now. But, you know, the quality wise, it's still there. I've seen some people really flip out on Jordan, though I don't think the show points him to be in the right at all. People saying that they've butchered Jonathan. I think they're giving Jonathan more to do. So, I mean, I don't really know what some of these people want. I'm enjoying it. Well, I guess let me ask your thoughts on these 4, and then we'll kind of dive into some stuff, and then we'll save the renewal talk for after that.
Yeah, I like Superman and Lois. I think it's a great show. I think the quality is good, and I think the characters make a lot of sense, and the dialogue is realistic. I watch it with my mom, and she's an oncology nurse. So she's noticing things going, oh, come on, oh, come on, oh, come on. And I wonder how accurate they're doing this. I don't really have any field of reference. There are some
real
things that,
quickly,
yeah,
I just want to jump in on that, because I've seen people on, like, Twitter and Reddit and places like that, Facebook, say that it's, for some people, they've said it's really realistic, that it's triggering for people that have had a spouse go through it. So I guess it depends on, like, some of the medical stuff might not be fully right, but I think some people are being triggered, or, you know, with seeing your spouse like that and seeing what Lois is going through. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that this could maybe put you off of the show if you're watching.
yeah, and I'm going to have a different perspective than my mom, who's an oncology nurse. One thing that she doesn't like is Lois keeps wearing the headgear, even though she hasn't lost her hair. She keeps wearing hats and scarves, but she hasn't lost her hair. So it's like, all right, is it a solidarity thing?
She's just accessorizing.
Yeah, and it works, but I just sometimes you're like, well, what's going on with that? And like some of the medical stuff, she is pointing out and saying, well, that's not how it goes. And I'm like, I don't know if most people probably don't. I'm hoping to never find out. I'm hoping to never find out the realistic of this. But I will tell you that outside of the cancer storyline, I've enjoyed every beat in this season. I think Jonathan with the firehouse is an interesting story, gives him something to do. I think Clark has a lot going on dealing with Lois, and I think that part of the cancer thing is very well represented, being the spouse. And you know what? I'm really digging Sam Lane. I'm digging the general doing his thing as grandpa. There's not a story beat that I don't like, and I think the bad guy, Bruno Mannheim, and his wife Pia, very intimidating duo. And now we got such entanglement with the families of John Henry Irons,
Mhm.
the Kents, and the Mannheims. So the writing of the show has put it into a nice little bow, and now we got to see how it plays out. I'm really excited about it. I think it's been fun.
Yeah, I think episode 8 was my favorite of these 4, which is called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Do you want to know any guesses on who wrote this episode, by the way?
Andrew Kreisberg.
No, Aaron Helbing. His
Oh,
first
okay.
writing credit since he wrote with his brother in season 3 of The Flash. That's how
I
long
I
he has
meant
been
Todd
away from it.
Helbing. I meant Todd Helbing. I
Yeah.
realized Kreisberg was the guy who got fired for
Yeah, he
being a
got
creep.
fired for being a
I don't
creep,
know
yeah.
why I said that. I got the names mixed up. That's exactly who I meant to say. That's funny how that works with your brain. It's the word association.
Yeah.
But
Well, it wasn't
yeah,
Todd, it was his brother. It was
his
Aaron.
brother writes well. His brother
Yeah.
writes good episodes, and I think he really gets Clark.
Yeah, yeah. This is his first writing credit since I think season 3 of The Flash. Um, the last time he wrote, and he usually wrote with his brother. This is a single credit for Aaron Helbing, and I think it was a fantastic episode. And what you're saying about Bruno Mannheim is I'm really digging him, not
Hmm.
just because of the actor. The actor is great, but giving him depth, right? Like him having this struggle of his wife, and that is why he is so pressed on. And really, he's doing awful things, but you can excuse it sometimes, right? As like, I'm trying to better my community. That's what Mannheim is thinking. I am rebuilding suicide slums. I am making this a better place because nobody else will. And I like those type of things. You know, some things that people say when it comes to writing is, you know, trying to get your like writing a villain to almost write them as a hero with a fatal flaw type of thing. And that is what Mannheim is, right? Like he is a hero. He's a hero to his community. But his flaw is he kills people. He's kind of a mob boss. He runs a gang, right? But he is on the outside, if you don't know that stuff about him, you probably think he's a respectable member of the community and
He's
what
the
he's put his
hero of
money
his
into.
own story.
Yes, exactly.
He's the hero of his own story, and I think you hit it. He's got depth. There's more to him than just menacing bad guy. And when you talk about what he's done, at the end of this past episode, they think they got Lex Luthor in jail for something that Bruno Mannheim and Pia did. And that is an incredible amount of power that Bruno Mannheim does, and it shows you the manipulation and the conniving and the smarts that he's got. And he brings on so many different personalities as Bruno Mannheim. That when they're at dinner with Nat and their son, he is charming. He is
Yep.
funny. He seems like there's this lightness to him, and he has you're like, God dang, do I like this guy? And then the second John Henry Irons comes into that room, he turns into Tony Soprano. And
Yeah.
so it's an amazingly deep storyline that they've got going on here. The one thing I didn't like was Lois Lane kind of drawing back from because of her connection with Pia and getting tired with the cancer. That storyline was like the least Lois Lane story I've
Mm.
ever seen.
I guess I could kind of see that when it's this person that's kind of you like when you make friends with a person before you know who they truly are, right? And you're
Mhm.
trying to give them grace, especially when they're going through something like that, and you don't know how long they have. She's probably thinking Mannheim corrupted her, but we see flashbacks, right,
Mhm.
of her being like part of this gang type thing before Mannheim even took it over, right? and then that's when they frame Lex. And
Mhm.
I liked that they put like hints enough where like you could figure it out. Like when they talk about Lex being caught on audio saying something, like how do you even let that happen? I was like, oh, it's Automatopoeia who did that, because she earlier in another episode mimicked the Lois voice to get Superman over there, right? So like you already know she can do that. It's something that you already know she can do. And then you're able to put it together right at the same time Clark is, pretty much, when he's like, hey, there's a weird sound on this thing.
Yeah, they did a lot of showing and not telling, and that's why they're really good at writing on the show. I When I say that I don't like the Lois storyline with drawing back with Pia, it's mainly because Bruno Mannheim is her white whale. This is the one that got away. This is the one she has been digging at. And if there is a Lois characteristic, it is never giving up on a story. And she knows Bruno Mannheim is an awful person, and the ramifications of Bruno Mannheim not being set to justice are way heavier than the ramifications for Pia, and all of that stuff. I think maybe season two, with the conflict of interest she had with her sister, might have changed her perspective on conflict of interest. But I just that's the one thing that doesn't ring true to me with Lois this season.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out too, I really like that her name's Pia, and I should have seen it coming then that she's Automatopoeia. I mean, they were
Mind
pretty good
blown,
with that. They were pretty good with that.
mind blown, mind blown. I just put it together. What?
Yeah.
What? I just put it together. Holy, holy Pia. Wow. I can't believe I didn't put that together.
Yeah, it came to me yesterday when I was watching it. I was like, "Oh, wait, her name's Pia?" I was like, "Oh, okay." And she is Automatopoeia. That's pretty cool. I liked that. I liked the reveal too that she was Automatopoeia, because a lot of people I saw speculating it was going to be John Henry Iron's sister, um, which didn't really make sense to me. She didn't seem that suspicious. But, having it be this person that uh, we already saw, like he's always using these people with powers that are like near death, right? And he's keeping them alive and trying to. And we see like after a while where they kind of come back down and they're coughing again or they're struggling again. And it makes sense that Automatopoeia would be another one of those people, but it's even more of a twist that it's his wife.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing about this last episode was Clark comes in and stands in front of her sound waves, and she gives she gives out. She's given her last push, and she needs to go to the hospital. But Bruno Mannheim's letting her kill herself. It's like, and it's there's got to be an internal conflict in Bruno at that time, because he's letting her be the total badass hero, but he's, for his side anyway. But he's also letting her drain her energy. It's interesting. What does Bruno care about the most?
Yeah, it's again, it's just a character with so many layers. It's really great. And then what are they doing with Bizarro? Right? We didn't even get to talk about
Hmm.
this. We have Bizarro. He wakes up at the end, but it's been set up in the last few episodes that they found Bizarro, that they're infusing him with the same sort of stuff, and I
So they
guess
might not have ever
yeah,
had Clark's blood, I guess. They might have had Bizarro's blood.
yeah. Do they have the same exact blood?
I mean, if Bizarro's the complete opposite, right? So wouldn't it
So
just be
maybe
the
it's the
same
opposite
strand
blood.
in reverse? No,
Yeah,
opposite blood. Like,
opposite blood.
wouldn't the DNA just be the same strand in reverse? I don't know how comic book science works, but that would make sense to
I
me.
mean,
That could
you
register
can
as the
make
same.
you can make any excuse you want when it's a comic book show. So yeah, it could work like that.
I mean,
Um,
that's how I was thinking of
well,
it.
since the powers are opposite, I was thinking maybe then that the DNA is not the same. Since the fact that
Mm.
like he has like the cold um vision, right, and
And
then he's
he's
got
got
like
the
heat
fire,
breath or
and
whatever.
yeah, the fire breath. Which fire breath is cooler than frost breath. Like that.
No, actually, fire breath is hotter than cold breath.
I see what you did there, sir.
Walked right into that. No, I don't know. I think the Bizarro thing is really interesting, and I'm happy because I was kind of upset that they had killed Bizarro off so easily in season 2. And he was built up to be this big villain. He got killed off by like episode 9 or 8, and then it was all Allie,
All she wrote.
right? It was all Allie after that as the bad guy.
Hey, I might have walked into that, but it's not a trap if you know it's a trap. It's a face-off.
Yeah, true. There you go. Guardians 3.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, which we did talk about on our sister show there on the MCU pod, To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. So if you want to know why we took last week off of this show, it was to go see that movie and then do a review for it. So yeah, Bizarro is interesting. Glad he's coming back. I'm a little worried because we're 8 episodes in and the season's only 13 and we still have to get Lex in it.
Mhm.
So a little worried about how crunched up, and I am worried there's going to be a cliffhanger that won't get resolved now if
Mhm.
this show gets canceled. That is before we get into cancellation talk though, or
Okay.
renewal talk. I do want to talk some Lana stuff here because I wrote down some things that really upset me. Okay, in episode 7, I think it was, or 6, Lana is playing video games with Sophie and Sarah, or she's going to play those games with her. She mentioned Burger Time, which is a fantastic game, by the way. I love Burger Time. And I was like, yes, Lana, good choice. She ruined it immediately. She said, oh, yeah, that does sound stupid when her kids didn't like it. I was like, Lana, I was with you. And then you called Burger Time stupid. So you're out of here. Get
Pick your
out of the
battles. Pick your
get out of the
battles.
show.
That's a petty fight.
Yeah,
I'll be Lana's defense attorney here.
okay, I'll take you to school. Burger Time was a game I grew up with because my dad had an Intellivision, which was kind of like an Atari, and that was one of the games. So me and him used to play that all the time. Then I started dating my wife, and she lived up in PA, and there was this burger joint, and at the burger joint they had an arcade version of it. So that was a blast from the past, and now it's available on like Switch and PS5 is like the old school versions. So I gotta get those. It's a fun game, Lana.
I'll check
It's a
it out.
fun game, Lana.
I'll check it out. But
Okay,
pick your battles.
next thing. This is the bigger battle, I guess.
Fair enough.
Lana gets upset when Kyle doesn't know where Sophie is. Okay, one, Kyle told Sarah to watch her. It's on Sarah at that point. Sarah's old enough to babysit.
Agreed.
2, she says, she's like, I don't know where, like, you should have been watching her. You should have been there. A couple episodes ago, when Clark goes to the diner and has a confrontation with Candace's dad, it is Sarah, Kyle, and Lana in a booth by themselves. Sophie nowhere to be found. Where is she, Lana? And I really liked when Sophie calls this out, by the way. My wife and I both laughed when she says, everyone always forgets about me.
Subtly, very subtly, the best line of the whole show. Everyone forgets about Sophie. You're fair there. What I didn't think was fair for Lana was she wants to have her cake and eat it too. Kyle's doing nothing wrong with Chrissy. Nothing wrong. They are divorced. They separated. They got divorced. There's been some time. Nothing wrong. Why is if anyone's being a jerk here, it was Sarah being a jerk to Chrissy. Chrissy doesn't even need to feel weird. Like I get that it's going to be awkward, but it's they're not. They're not sneaking around. It's a very silly storyline. It's very contrived.
Yeah, yeah. It just, I was like, oh man,
It's not
Lana.
like Kyle is with the girl that he cheated on Lana with. That's not what we're talking about here.
Exactly, exactly. And I did not. I like that Chrissy called out Sarah on the Mean Girl act because that's how she was acting.
Hmm.
For no reason. This isn't the reason your parents divorced. And you even sided with your dad a lot during the initial divorce, but just because he's now having sex with Chrissy. And I get Chrissy's a little younger. It's not, look, these are both adults. There's no power play here. She's a reporter, he's a fireman. You know, she's not gaining a career advantage for doing this. He's not gaining a career advantage. They just like each other.
And let's not
And
act like Lana and Chrissy are like the bestest of friends in the first place. They are friends by association because of Lois.
yeah.
That's it. That is literally it.
And what I also like about these batches of episode is, as already a fan of Kyle, Kyle had a lot to do in these. I think he was great I think he was written well in these. Like I'm full team Kyle at this point. So
Oh,
uh,
Kyle is
yeah,
a character that I was too hard on, and now he is a cool character. Kyle is look, if you're gonna be an asshole, ruin your marriage, there are worse ways to be than what Kyle is doing now. That's a pretty good rebound. That's a pretty good bounce back in your life. And look, him and Chris kind of work. I mean, they're both kind of annoying together, but they kind of work.
yes, I do think they have good chemistry. Actually, I really think they do.
That might have
Um,
happened by accident. They might have just realized, wait a second, they
yeah,
bounce well off each other.
yeah, and I liked how they already had the talk and like, look, Kyle is like, I actually like you. This is not like a fling for me. Like, I like that they've had that talk. I like that
Yeah, I
they've
feel like it started like that, and then he's like, this is
yeah,
real.
we're chilling with each other all the time. You know, I like when he wakes up and he's like whistling and like texting her, and Sarah's like, What are you so happy about? He's like, it's just a great day or whatever. You know, like
Hmm.
we never see Kyle that happy.
Well,
So
and you
I
know
did
what? It
really like
brought a
that.
little youth into him. It brought a little youth back to his character. And I really like his interactions with Jonathan. I think this whole firehouse thing has been great. I think it's a little stupid now that Jonathan got in trouble for what Jordan did,
Yeah,
pulling him out of the fire. I think that's a little stupid. It was really just to have a scene where Jonathan could be in front of Sarah going, "Well, I have heat vision and you don't." Um, that, but that was inevitable at some point. That was an inevitable conversation that the brothers were going to have, and of course, it had to happen in front of Sarah because drama.
and it's like people for some reason take whatever Jordan says as the writers saying it, but it's just
Hmm.
this is just normal brother stuff of sibling stuff.
Okay,
Sometimes you say stuff you regret and you have to take it
yeah,
back, and he did.
I, I gotta be honest. Me and my brother have a very complicated relationship. And if one of us had heat vision and the other one didn't, it would be really awkward.
Yeah.
And it would be really, really awkward. It would suck if I was the one without heat vision. I'd hate that. I would be like, man, I don't have any powers. He's all special. I would be a jealous little shit. I would be. So I get it. I understand it. Jonathan has it rough. But I was so frustrated because they were building him up with a firehouse, and then they had to tie it into Jonathan Jordan's story,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
kind of ruined his development there. I thought that wasn't fair to Jonathan.
Well, I hope, and I think he will keep the job. I think somebody will talk to Kyle about it, or he even gave his full story of what seeing Superman or something. Somebody went in there,
Well,
and
it's a quick fix. Superboy goes in with his disguise and talks to Kyle.
yeah,
It's that easy. You turn the lights out. You get a voice changer if you want to, because I
you
mean
don't
he
even need
obviously.
that. They see Clark
Yeah,
with
I guess
glasses, and they
yeah.
see Superman without glasses, and it's
Yeah,
over.
I
He'll
guess.
have the goggles and the
Yeah, you're
hat.
you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
he's good.
But yeah, I sometimes forget how good the Superman disguise is.
Yeah.
The obvious disguise is better than anyone can explain. It's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed episode 8 the most there. I know some people said like episode 7 was like their favorite of the show at some points. I thought it was good, but I really liked episode 8 more, I think.
I think episode 8 was the stakes just got raised big time.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought that was great.
I mean, look, I love the moment when John Henry calls his suit and he gets it on while Automatopoeia is blasting away. And I like showing Mateo, who is, you know, he helped Nat get out from whoever was trying to watch them, right?
Hmm.
And like, all right, let's go get your dad. Like Mateo doesn't um approve of this. I think in some lesser shows, right? In some lesser shows, Mateo would have been in on this, and it would have been this whole plot behind the scenes of we're gonna get close to them, we're
Yeah,
gonna do this,
and that
and
adds another layer to Bruno Mannheim. That adds
yeah,
another layer to Bruno Mannheim. It's very much a Romeo and Juliet trope, but they're not acting as if it is a trope.
yeah.
One thing that I thought was weird was that Superman hears John Henry's in trouble and Jordan doesn't hear it because Jordan has absolutely no tact. He will go no matter what. Or now that he's a Superboy suit, he doesn't care. He's not looking for approval. He's just kind of hearing things and going. So it was a little weird that Jordan didn't show up to the scene
I can excuse this. I can come up with a reason here.
because he was preoccupied with Sarah.
Partly, but my thought is Clark knows kind of what the whole Pia Automatopoeia situation is, which the kids don't. Clark is very familiar with the sound of that. I know like um Jordan helped save him a couple episodes ago from it, but I feel like Clark is more in tune with it. That's kind of what he was hearing when he realized John Henry was in trouble, and he just kind of took off. So
So you didn't really hear John Henry. You heard this onomatopoeia sound, and
that's what
that's
I think, yeah. And then he
okay.
realized it was John
That makes
Henry there
sense.
and took off. Yeah.
That makes sense. I would just think that Jordan would maybe show up late, but he would be there.
He could also get in trouble from his dad at this point, so he might be trying to trying to lay low there with that.
Well, I
That's
actually
a little,
feel yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say that's a little overboard for me. How much Clark is trying to limit him.
Yeah.
Um, it's probably my least favorite part of the season at this point because it feels a lot like what we've already seen in season 2. I really wish they'd let him kind of take a step forward. I mean, even when he aced that hologram test where I think Clark thought he was going to get taken out by the Bizarro coming up behind him, but he does like the leap thing and the two holograms take each other out, and it was a really cool moment for Jordan. I just wish he would let Jordan do some more stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a little hypocritical for Superman, the beacon of hope, to not trust his son, especially when Superman started. Superman didn't have anybody other than the Jor-El hologram to tell him what to do. Come on, man.
Exactly, right? I mean, he did start a little later, right? Because he kind of leaves home. Well, we don't really know when he left home. It was like high school, but like we don't know if it was after graduation, right? In season 1 when they have that
That doesn't
episode.
make much of a difference. It
No,
really
it
doesn't
doesn't.
make much of a
No,
difference.
but maybe he thinks it does. I don't know.
Mhm.
But Clark's being a little too overprotective, and I think he's doing that because he's worried about Lois, and he doesn't want anything to happen to Jordan while he's also dealing with all the stuff going on with Lois. But just kind of wish they'd pivot away from that and maybe be more of like what they could have done is have Clark be more of a, hey, I'm gonna have to take care of your mom more. You're gonna have to go out there and do more of this type of stuff.
Yeah,
I think that would have been interesting.
they started to lean into Jordan going to his grandfather father for this kind of thing, and I wish they kept going to that well a little bit because that also would have been a sneaky way to get Jordan closer to his mother to get Jordan closer to the Lane way of thinking. Um, and I think it's really interesting in the show that doesn't really dive into it much, but Lois and her dad are very similar people. Um, and I feel like because they present so differently, you don't always see that. And that's why I really like this version of Sam Lane. I think there's so much more to him. So if anything, I don't really care about Sam Lane getting back out there and dating. Good for him, fine.
I did. I loved it,
Uh,
by the
but
way.
but I'm like the Jordan Sam storyline. I need more of that.
I actually really liked the Sam stuff. I liked him being with Lana there, and I was like, "Am
We're
I
gonna need
nuts,
another
or are
round
they
of fries.
having?"
That was a nice touch.
I was like, "Am I nuts, or they have some chemistry right here?"
Okay. My reaction was if he gets together with Lana, I'm gonna have an issue with that.
It
Um,
would be.
but you know what? The actors are beautiful people. They're both beautiful
Mhm.
people. It makes sense in real life. In the context of the show, him being Lois's dad, it's a little weird.
Yeah,
In reality, I mean, sure, go for it.
yeah. They had a really nice conversation. They were each talking each other up too. I was like,
I
"Oh
mean, for an
boy,
older
showing some
gentleman, he's
sparks."
got it. For an older
Yeah.
gentleman, he's got it. I mean, he's not that old, too. I mean, what is he in his 60s?
Oh, I don't know. I'll check. But I will say this is where I'm glad, or I don't know if I'll say glad, right? But
Hmm.
I really like that they either used Crisis on Infinite Earths or just said this is a new universe and they recasted Sam Lane because he is so much better than the Sam
Hmm.
Lane that was in Supergirl.
Well, the
Um,
Sam Lane that is in Supergirl is a one-note character that just
yes,
yells. He's horrible.
and
Absolutely
also
horrible.
Dylan Walsh is 59.
59? He's only
He's
59?
only
Well,
59.
he's playing a character that's older than he is.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, yeah. So is I mean,
well,
really,
how
all
old
of
is
them are,
Lois?
right?
How old is Lois and Lucy?
Hold on, I'm trying to find out something. He's been married a couple times here. His daughter, I mean, his new wife looks a little younger, so
Good for him.
maybe that would be um realistic in that world. But we have, let's see, Betsy Tulloch 42, so Sam would have had to been 17 if we're going by their real ages. And let's see, Tyler Hecklin is 35. They aged him up, obviously, right?
Yeah, they aged him up a little bit,
Well, Betsy's
but
probably closer to what she would be, like 40s is what I would expect for
I
these characters.
mean, Bitsy Tulloch and Clark look like they're about this, and Tyler Hoechlin look like they're about the same age. They present as about the same age. I actually like the dynamic, though, of Lois being a little older than Clark, because Lois is the one who
Hmm.
shows them the ropes to the big city of Metropolis, and that kind of makes sense. You kind of get more of those Terry Hatcher, Dean Cain vibes when you go that territory.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I want to put out the video too of like a YouTube short of us ranking, taking it
Okay.
from that episode where we ranked our
Oh,
Superman and
nice, nice.
Lois's. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna take those and make a little YouTube short with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, totally do that. Um, I think this show is great because it shows the importance of the whole Superman mythos, and Lois Lane's a huge part of that. I don't think you can have Superman without Lois Lane. So that's why we talked about it. It was like anyone in the comics, anyone other than Lois, I'm just like, nope, I don't like it. I don't like it. Clark with anyone, no, no.
Yeah, that's another downside to the cancer plot is they want us to feel like it's possible for her to die, and I just don't know if like unless if they knew they didn't have a shot to get renewed and they kill
Well,
her
if
off.
she dies,
Season
you
4,
yeah.
season 4 would not be called Superman and Lois. So I do
Yeah,
think it is a little bit of a drag on the plot line.
yeah, I agree with you. There is one aspect of it that I find very interesting. Clark ages very slowly,
Hmm.
and Lois is human. So he knew at some point, it's kind of like a vampire. He's immortal. He's going to live past everyone he loves. Clark at some point is going to live a long life without Lois. So the panic of Lois going early has to be incredibly painful for him because he's not ready to deal with that. He knew he would have to deal with that, but he thought he thought that Lois would have silver hair before we had to worry about this.
Right. Yeah, that's it's an interesting part, and we don't really know how much this is going to affect Jordan as half Kryptonian, right? Because for some reason he's not weak to kryptonite because of his human half. But does that mean he doesn't age as fat? Does he age slower like Clark, or does he get the best of both worlds? Is he not weak to kryptonite and doesn't age, a lot, or is he going to age like a human and be
So
more human?
this is what always confused me about the Kryptonian stuff. It always confused me about the Kryptonian stuff is at what age do Kryptonians stop aging?
I don't even think they really stop aging. I mean, in some runs they do, I think. But the way I like to think about it is aging slower. So
At
he
what
will.
age do they look 30 forever? Or 20 forever?
I guess at 20, right?
Yeah, I know, you know what I mean, though. Like,
At
at what
some
age
point,
they just look the same forever?
yeah, I would say probably like mid 30s. I don't think he'll look 30 forever. I mean, even if you look at some like Kingdom Come or any sort of other comic adaptations or the Superman,
Yeah, Kingdom
like
Come's
Justice
one of the
League.
only things I can think of that he got the gray hair.
Justice League cartoon, I think he did when they did future episodes where he's in like Batman Beyond time. I think he had gray hair, like on the temples, the Reed Richards
Yeah,
style.
the Reed Richards style. Oh
Yeah,
my God, we could talk Fantastic Four castings on another podcast. Holy
if they're
camole!
true. I mean,
I don't buy it.
I don't buy any of them right now.
they're a little too basic to be true. Um, they're a little too much fan casty vibes. But hey, that's another show.
Yeah. um. Okay, let's talk the renewal prospects. I guess
All
here we
right.
talked about the characters. So by the time this episode goes up, which is probably Saturday or Friday, we might know. We're supposed to know by the end of the week. The 18th for sure, because that's when they do their press conference where they talk about what they're picking up and what they're keeping and presenting to add people and all that kind of stuff. But so earlier in the week, they'd canceled the what was the show? The Walker Independence.
Yep.
Spinoff of Walker Texas Ranger. And then they
Because there
had
needed to be one, apparently.
there needed to be one. Then they had renewed All American and Walker. Remember, we had heard they only really want 2 scripted shows. So if you're cynical, you're looking at those 2 and you say they have them. Now,
and they're cheap.
Yeah, they're much cheaper than Superman and Lois. Today, they canceled The Winchesters, which was a spin-off of Supernatural. And they also canceled the reboot of Kung Fu. So, I mean, pretty much CW is just all reboots and spin-offs.
They're going for that golf contract and nothing else. They're going to have
they're just
reality
going for
TV and golf.
Yeah, so for people, this is because of new ownership. That Nexstar bought them, I don't know, like end of last year, like beginning of last year, something like that. They had in their contract where they had to renew All American for whatever reason. That was in the contract. So they renewed it. So that left them just like 1 to 2 more shows to renew. They renewed Walker because it's their second most popular show and it's cheap to produce. Superman and Lois is their most popular show. But from reports, it costs about $5 million an episode. Gotham Knights cost on the WB ever. So if you're cynical,
And you can tell.
if you're cynical, while you think, yes, they will definitely renew the Prestige show with great ratings and great reviews. For them, they're selling the ads the same pretty much. So they would probably make the decision to keep Gotham Knights for a season 2. That's probably all they would do, by the way. Whatever show gets renewed is probably getting canceled next year because they're going to keep limiting the scripted content on the channel. Especially with the writer's strike. They're going to want to be all reality now anyway. So that's kind of what they're up against. 3 shows are on the bubble: Superman and Lois, All American Homecoming, a spinoff of All American, and Gotham Knights.
It's important to remember that it means hope.
Yes, the
The
Superman logo
Kryptonian
means
shield
hope.
means hope. Okay, we gotta have some positive vibes and some hope. Look,
I'm
it's
all
gonna
out of
look
hope.
really bad if they get rid of Superman and Lois. And the other thing we have to remember is some of the budget for Superman and Lois comes from Warner Brothers. So maybe Max saves it. If James Gunn says, you know what, I need a little Superman to go on in the Elseworlds category while I'm waiting for Superman Legacy because I don't want Superman to go stale again, that's the potential. Of course, David Zaslav is the cheapest man alive, so that's there too. We just have to have positive vibes and hope and enjoy the show while we have it.
I do think James Gunn will keep out of this. And what I mean by that is if it gets canceled, I think he won't fight for it. Now WBTV might, right? Because like WBTV apparently tried to shop around the Winchesters. So they're still looking to find somebody to buy that, I think, here.
Supernatural came for like 50 seasons. We don't need more.
Yeah, well, I guess they want more. And then so they're also so that's a possibility. It could get picked up by somewhere else, either Max or and here's why I don't think HBO Max will even save Superman and Lois. Maybe they could. Maybe they could because it is a popular show on their service. But Zaslav is at the point of wanting to outsource a lot of these shows to other networks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if it did get picked up, it could be something like Amazon wanted it or
That's realistic. It's popular enough that
Netflix
it's
or
a Superman IP. Superman IP is a lot bigger than people think.
and another thing that can save it, if we're being positive, is they do have it is very popular worldwide. I think they have many deals to be on different channels because HBO Max is not everywhere. So it plays on other places, almost like a through syndication type thing where they might think, okay, we want to save the show because we get money from licensing it out to those other channels worldwide, where maybe Gotham Knights would not get that money worldwide. So
Gotham Knights has
there's hope.
Harvey Dent. Gotham Knight has Harvey Dent as Harvey Dent, not Two Face, with Batman dead. That's all you need to know about the idea that Gotham Knights could go on because it's cheap makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah,
As a Batman fan, it makes me sick to my
when you're
stomach.
making decisions based off what's cheap instead of what's good, you're not running a good network. And they're
No, you're
fine
not.
with not running a good network.
And
They're
they
totally fine with that.
well, they bought the CW thinking it was a sunk cost. It is what it is. They didn't buy the CW to have to kick butt in television. It's an asset that they have to deal with now. That's their problem. They're going for sports contracts and reality TV. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the CW app actually becomes useful when they take it over because the CW app, they never cared about it. This is a horrible run business. Look, they lose money on everything. The only way the CW made money was the Netflix deal. When the Netflix deals were done, the CW was done. Okay, that's why when the shows start going to HBO Max for the DC stuff, that was the beginning of the end for the CW. There was no way to cope from that Netflix deal giving you 80 to 90% of your revenue not exist.
It's a shame. So it is close. Now, Variety says they don't expect any of the shows on the bubble to return. Hollywood says that they think one of the DC shows will be renewed. So that's why we're thinking it might be between those two shows. It's also possible that none of those three shows get picked up and they just roll with Walker and All American and Live Golf and Reality and scripted series from Canada that they're moving over, that they're going to simulcast or whatever. So
Unless it's the next
pretty much
Schitt's Creek, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what they're hoping. They're hoping they find the next one. So it's a little bit of a downer. By the time this is up, you might know the actual result. And I'm sure whatever that result is, we'll talk about it next week.
I feel like we know the actual result and we're just trying to stay hopeful. Yeah. Look, positive vibes all you want, and I'm going to do that. But
at this point, I'm hoping there's no cliffhanger.
Yep.
I'm hoping they knew, like when you're writing the show and you know that you have a cheap ass network who purchased you, and they are canceling all these CW shows. You would think as you're writing, you're like, let's, put it not wrap it up with a bow, but let's make it to where if it ended, we're good. But if we get picked up, we can continue the show. That's what they should do.
Yeah, look, this is a show that's the wrong place at the wrong time because it is the best Superman show there's ever been, and it is a quality program that shouldn't actually be a quality program with all the things it has going against it. CW late into the Arrowverse's death. This show had everything stacked against it, and it's still good. So the people involved are very awesome at what they do, and it should have never started on the CW. When they had the idea for the show, it should have been an HBO Max show, and that's where. Because even then, Zaslav could say, "Hey, Amazon, do you want Superman and Lois?
Right.
It's an HBO Max show. Do you want to move it to Amazon and license it out?" But CW complicates that. So I don't know. The only way that it doesn't get saved, I think, is if contractually it's kind of a messy situation to save it at all.
Well, it shouldn't be that much of a contractual mess, because the way it usually works is WB is the actual studio that produces it, and then CW buys a license fee to air the show. So in that case, once CW passes on it and officially cancels it, then all it would take is WB shopping it. Now, the thing is, would people want to buy it? It only gets about 1 million some viewers in 7 days viewing on CW. Now, if whoever buys it thinks that they can increase that number, then they'll get it. If they don't,
you will have an increase of that number on Amazon. The question is,
maybe
can you get what you want if you're Amazon?
For the question is, 4, I don't know if you can, because you'd have to try to get people to watch the first 3 seasons.
I think it's a pretty big platform. I think you're going to get a good bit of carryover too.
It'll be interesting.
I'm just hoping. Just gotta hope.
19 months ago, when the 2021 to 2022 season started, the CW had 18 scripted shows. Now they have 5, but with the cancellations, they might be down to 2. That is how far this network has gone in 2 TV seasons.
Look, it's anti-intellectualism at the corporate level. You want dumb TV, you're going to get it. So
it's just money. It's all it's about.
It's all it's about. But you know what? They're not going to make any money on Nexstar. CW is not going to make any money the way they're going. They're going to lose less money. That's all it is.
People don't watch the Live Golf right now either, and they had to pay money for that.
Look, they're going to lose less money. That's the only thing they're doing.
Yep.
They're bleeding a little. They're bleeding a little slower. That's it. You have to be a dumb company to even buy the CW in the first place. Let's be real. It had to be part of an overarching plan that involved things beyond this. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Unless if they think they can make it profitable by just running the most basic content and cheap content, which it can become profitable, but it's not going to be a lot.
Look. there is a lot of anti-intellectualism going on in this country. Maybe they're onto something.
Yeah.
But I I I just want the show to live because art matters. The show is art, and anti-intellectualism is the biggest threat to pretty much everything right now. Not to take it to a dark tone, but this show, losing the show would hurt more than I think people realize.
The only other thing that can happen to save it is if they announce it's the final season and shorter, like 10 episodes, 10 to 13 episodes, and a huge cut in cost per week, which means you'll see a lot less Superman action, which is fine if we're going to get the family stuff. But
It means no Superboy.
maybe, um, you know, what I mean is the CG is going to go way down if they renew this show. So
Yeah, instead of
we'll see.
instead of the wind flowing motion with the papers, it'll just be like a sound.
Yeah, and you said this is the best Superman show, and I would say quality wise,
I know you're
probably
partial to Smallville. I know
I
you're
am.
partial to
And
Smallville.
if the show gets canceled without a resolution, I have to keep Smallville above it because
Well, that's fair. But
it's it's a
this is
bummer.
per the quality of each episode, this is the best we've seen Superman
Yeah,
represented
yeah.
on television. Now, I didn't watch all of Smallville, so I need to do a rewatch of Smallville the way you needed to watch the Arrowverse.
Yes, you
That
do.
could be a fun little project. I don't have Hulu, so I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I spend enough on
I got
entertainment.
the DVDs.
Okay, okay.
So if you want
That's
to meet somewhere, I can give you the DVD.
yeah.
Because I have the Blu-rays as well, so I have a
Okay.
backup.
It's a good excuse to
if
do that
something
anyway.
happens
So
to the
yeah.
discs. So and I have
Okay.
it on digital, and I have Hulu. So I have it on.
Okay.
I have it everywhere.
I might be
Um,
able to buy it digitally too. So yeah, we'll figure that out. But after your Arrowverse project, that's probably
yes.
what we'll have to do to keep things interesting because then once you're done the Arrowverse, we lose a whole segment per show.
Yeah, yeah. A whole episode because I usually split them, so we
Yeah.
end up, 30 minutes later on the
Let's just
content.
hope for the best with Superman and Lois. Let's just hope. That's all we can do. Enjoy it
I'm
when we
so
got it.
conflicted. Part of me thinks that I should be hopeful because it is their most popular show, but the cynic in me is like they only care about money, so they're gonna go with Gotham Knights and
Well,
Yowza.
it depends. You can still cut all those shows and then say, "Look, we care about quality. We save Superman and Lois. You can have your cake. You can eat it too."
True.
That's my pitch. That's my pitch. I don't think it's going to work, but it's my pitch.
I will say I'm just very thankful that the Flash got a final season. So this show
Very
will at
much
least
so.
be wrapped up. And once I
It
get to
doesn't feel
that
like it's
point,
going to be wrapped up at this point of the final
we only
season.
got 2 episodes left.
I'm skeptical on them landing the.
Well,
Yeah,
the thing is, I don't know how much you want to wrap it up, right? Like, I feel like
yeah,
Flash should still be a hero going forward. So you just,
yeah. You're not going to kill him, so yeah,
right, right. So
yeah.
kind of like we talked about with this show of like, you can't end it with like Jordan and Clark retiring.
Plus,
Like,
we've already seen the future.
right. They're still going to,
Yeah.
do their heroics, but we just need a like character closure for some of this stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, I'm wearing my shirt, but you can't see it because of my microphone and because it's blurry.
Stand
But
up.
this is
There you go.
this is what I got. If you're watching the feed, it's a Flash movie shirt. So we're 5 weeks out, and I'm ready.
So I got this as my and I'm team take Funkos out of the box, by the way. Because it's more cool. I got this, the Flash movie Funko Pop.
I
The
got
only
that
thing
too.
the only thing I hate about it is it's hard to get this guy to stand up.
He's got a big head.
So it's these feet on these Funko Pops are egregious because they're at an angle. Like, come on, like, yeah. So it hurts team take it out of the box. But yeah, this was my gift to myself for getting 100% in my teaching theories class. So this
That's
is my
awesome.
gift to myself. Yeah. So um, Barry is right next to Keaton Batman on my display here.
There you go.
If I can get him to stand, I get yes. I gotta
See,
understand
I'm team take them out of the box, but I have so many of them, I can't take
that
them
you
out of the
can't.
box.
That's the
You gotta
problem.
stack them.
Well, that's why I didn't get the Batwing. I was gonna get the Batwing. I was gonna get the
Yeah,
freaking Batwing. I was at Target today. I'm staring at it. I'm
like
staring it down.
this is my wall here, and I've
Nice.
added to it. But this is, and
Okay.
that's not all of them, by the way. This is just the ones that I've bought since I got the
Uh huh.
house. The
Yeah.
ones that I had at my parents' house are in a box downstairs.
Yeah. I'm running out of room for everything, so
Yeah,
I need to stop buying physical media, which is actually cool because I'm digging the DC Infinite app. Um,
yeah, it's great,
uh,
isn't it?
yeah, I finished Nightwing Year One this past week. I really love that story. It was fun. The art's not my favorite, but it's pretty good series.
The one that, so I was just reading it too, but I started reading the Mark Wade Flash run.
I was about to jump into that too. I
Yeah,
know we said we were going to do the long Halloween, but I'm like, I'm reading so much stuff.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's what the plan is long Halloween next week. And if you're thinking, didn't they say that 2 weeks ago? Yes, but then we realized Superman and Lois was going to have 4 episodes, and we're doing these in batches of
Yeah.
4. So
So
we had to get
look,
this stuff.
I've read the long Halloween like 7 times. I can do it without a full reread, but I'm gonna get on the long Halloween issues, and I have the Absolute Edition too, so it's kind of not that hard to pull that out and go, oh my God, look at this Tim Sale goodness.
I've read it once. I've seen the movies, and
The movies really, the second movie took a real hard right turn.
yeah, yeah. But I do like I'm familiar enough with it that I'm gonna try to read them all. But if I'm ever pressed for time, I'm gonna end up kind of reading bits and pieces and kind of
I got you.
going through what I have
As
because
long
I
as we
have
can go through it, we don't really need to go through the story beat, especially because
right.
the murder mystery is the best part of this. If you haven't read it, what we really need to do is give people a reason to read the most seminal Batman work there
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. So there you go. Read that, and then
You got homework, guys. You got
we'll
homework.
figure out some other stuff. It is the 10-year anniversary of Man of Steel, so we might want to do that at
Oh,
some
I
point.
I am always down to do Man of Steel. I love that movie.
And we want to talk Flashpoint at some point. Um,
Actually, would it make sense to do Flashpoint before the Long Halloween, or would it make actually no, because it'll be closer to the Flash movie. We'll do Long Halloween first,
yeah, so if we did like Long Halloween next week,
and then Man of Steel, and
Man of
then
Steel,
Flashpoint.
and then Flashpoint, yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
works.
guys, this is a planning session. You are behind the scenes with me and Jordan. You're getting the inside scoop. Um, remember, it means hope. It means hope.
And there is a gap for Superman and Lois. It doesn't come back till the 23rd now.
Yeah, because
Um,
this is again, we're talking about failing business models. Failing business models. Yeah, and then I keep saying, well, the ratings for season two weren't as high as season one. Yeah, because you took every 4 weeks off.
oh yeah, season 2 is brutal with that too.
Oh, just a failing business model. TV in general. Just what are you doing? But I rest my case.
So there you go. There's your schedule. Let me write that down on our schedule document too. So
Yeah.
May 18th is Long Halloween. May 25th. For people that don't know, we record these on Thursdays.
Yeah, and that's gonna change in July.
Yes. Yep. Because you'll
And
have different.
I will have a Tuesday, Thursday class scheduled.
Okay.
And my class in July goes 4 to 8:15.
Oh dang.
Obnoxiously long class. Curriculum and assessment for 4 hours. Um, I'm really hoping it's not actually 4 hours in reality. On paper, it's 4 hours. It's like, what the? It's like 4:10 to 8:15. It's like, no. So we're gonna have to change the Thursday thing. And I have a summer class that starts in May as well. So May and July I have summer classes.
Okay.
So we'll figure out our schedule as we go. You
Yes.
have a little more flexibility in your availabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah. Well, once I'm off work, I'm pretty much free
If we
unless if
can,
I'm doing another
right?
podcast. But
If we can, hopefully, what we can do is we can pick a day that works every week.
Yeah,
Um,
it keeps it consistent. Like we've been knocking this out of the
yeah, so
park here.
stay with us. It'll happen. You're not getting rid of us that easily.
All right, so we have, like I said, Flashpoint comic. It looks to be in early June, which will be right before the movie comes out. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll do that then. Thank you all for watching and listening. If you want to give us any sort of feedback, Elseworlds DC fan at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I share usually my progress throughout the Arrowverse there too. I also share cool merchandise that I get and any comic panels I really like. So
And you know what? I have a Twitter account called Chris Talks Comics. It's the tag is still at Multiversal Omni.
yeah.
Every now and then I post stuff on it, and then the rest of the time I just forget about it. Or I post my comic book stuff on my at Footballman58 regular
Right.
Twitter account. So I'm bad about it, but you can follow it.
You can follow it and forget about it until Chris remembers it, and then you can see what
Exactly.
yes.
It's not a trap if you know it's a trap. That's all I'm gonna
Yes.
say.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.